You know what? I'm gonna go watch this part of the video that I recently watched forward. There is a video that is a controversial opinion by Alanah Pearce that I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. So here we go. Alright, how's it going, guys? Today I'm going to go ahead and look at a video by Alanah this is Alanah Pearce, a games journalist. You know, I know her for a long time. She has been around the game industry for a while. So, for those who don't know, she has a controversial opinion that everyone does not like. I did watch through this whole thing. She just talks about the whole issue with a lot of the updates of the game and everything. But here is the accessibility argument that she's about to make here, and she talks about the stuff like the gamer tips and everything to help everyone be informed on how to beat the game itself. So, gamer tip, bros, she does have some way to beat the game, so hopefully it would help you guys. But as for what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and go through the controversial opinion that she has made. So let's go ahead and hear what she has to say.
Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. And people are asking for accessibility are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situation.
Okay, so let me get this straight. This is like the last. I remember the controversial opinion that she made, that she thought a third person. From what I understand, she called. I believe. I recalled in the past, like she talked about this a long time ago, and she said, I think it was a quote that she thought. Mass Effect was a first-person shooter when it was actually a third-person shooter. I don't know if that was true or not, but I do recall she said this. Now, this is another of Alanah Pearce's fumbles again. I don't blame her. She's from Melbourne, Australia, and she's not. If I'm wrong, I guess I am wrong about this. I don't know if this is true, because she kind of brings up this point. It's like, okay, so having a child is a disability. Okay, that's a weird opinion on that. That just makes it sound retarded. And I'm not trying to be mean to you, but I hate to say that that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. And I'm just putting my head together and thinking, why did you have to say that? I get it. I fumble my words too. I get it. Mistakes happen. Maybe she made a mistake. So let's continue on hearing what she has to say.
Situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet.
Okay. I get what she's trying to say here. Okay, so if a game you have to press pause to stop your child from getting hurt. I get it. Trying to raise your child. But I learned a long time ago from people that if I have to put down the game, I have to put down the game. Especially when I remembered playing in World of Warcraft, we had a a woman who has a child, and she had to be like, hey, I gotta get off. I gotta go help my child. Can we have a break? And we're like, okay, because this does happen, where a woman has to raise her kid and she has to put down the game, but she can't because we're raiding and we have to, and we had to get this the player to actually play, but unfortunately she had to take care of her kid, and we have to tell people, hey, your priority is your child, not this game. We understand, like, this does happen, but I don't know. Let's continue.
Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints, but when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow. So, trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games. Unironically, that is a thing, from tapping too much. That means...
Girl, I would suggest you drink a lot of freaking goddamn... Celery juice can help, honey. Celery juice can help. I'm old as fuck, and I drink a lot of celery juice. It helps me play my games. I'm lucky. But then again, I had to deal with that for a while, too. I had to drink a lot of celery juice and Advil. So, yeah. Even had to get a doctor to inject steroids in my hand because my hand, I had like the tendonitis thing. But I can tell you, arthritis is a bitch to deal with, and I can relate to that. Jesus Christ.
Any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to like highlight this particular thing. Is like, I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm going to be in pain and have to like ice my wrist afterwards.
Have you heard of semaglutide?
Oh, God. Oh, man. I hate when the advertising has to happen. But unfortunately, you know, I know YouTube has to make their money. Yeah, it does happen.
Be able to play it. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really fucking hard is also appealing to people with disabilities.
Okay, I do recall something like this happened. A handicapped man beats Elden Ring with just relate. Like, this is what happened. This is the guy. This is like 4 days ago. He has no arms.
Ah! Let's go, baby! No armor, no magic, no summoning, no hands, no...
Yeah, this guy basically beat with no hands. Like, this guy is known as... And this is Rocky No Hands. I don't get why it's so hard for people to get accessibility, but this guy had accessibility because he could afford it. He actually has a custom-made controller made for him, and there are people out there that could buy this equipment if you're disabled. Like, I get where you're coming from here. There are people out there that can play, like, there's even articles dedicated to this. The handicapped Elden Ring player beats the boss. You know, and it's like, I'm surprised you have not ever heard of Rocky No Hands. Like,
What's up, guys? You are always wondering...
This guy actually has, like, a controller that's custom made for him. That could... And there is a company that does make custom made controls for disabled people. And I do recall, like, it's made for paralyzed people. Like, a lot of these people who make this stuff, have been known to do this. Like, I'm surprised you haven't brought up this guy who is a quadriplegic. If I pronounce it right, I apologize, because I'm having a hard time, with my words, because I have that disability too of reading things. Now, this is nothing new. Like, because I know that there is accessibility, but the problem is it costs too much money to make these controls for disabled people. Game controllers. And I recalled this company makes this stuff. Like, for example, this is like one of the controls that people have created for disabled people. Like this controller. There is a lot of controllers, but they're a bit expensive. And I have seen a lot of people create these controls for to adapt to certain things. Like this one, for example, you could use on your feet, I believe. These are just like Logitech controllers that you could use if you don't have any hands. There is a lot of controllers for disabled people, and I forgot the company that has done this. I know that Able Gamers had created these controllers. And the thing is, like, it does exist. These are adaptive controllers for people who make this stuff. I understand you're trying to advertise this stuff. We're well aware of this type of equipment for accessibility for people that want to play this game. So, Alanah, what is the issue here that you're trying to address? So let's continue on.
They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard for them to beat. They're not asking you to give them an easy mode and make it...
Yes, I get that, but what are you trying to say here? There is accessibility for... Sorry. There is an accessibility of equipment that is there. What are you trying to tell us here? There are companies that are attempting to help gamers with their controls. What is the issue? Like, this is meant for hands, like to slap and, put their hands on for disabled gamers. This one is meant for the feet, to press on the feet if you can't, if they don't have hands. This is meant to be emotionally, like, slapping onto the hands. Like, what is the issue that is the problem? There is custom-made controls for people who are disabled. I get what you're saying here, but what is the point? What is the issue?
Easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities.
Yes.
So they can still enjoy...
Yes, they can. It's just, it costs too much money for them to do that. Because it's very expensive equipment. Like, look at how much this costs. Look at the cost of what they're spending. Like, what is the deal here? Like, this one is like $80 for the foot pedals. This one, for example, is for disabled people that they could put their hands and head on, or lean their heads onto it, or if they don't have hands, they could put their whole body into it. That's the same thing. Like, look at this. Look, these are pedals. They're trying to help disabled gamers gain access to playing these games. And you're complaining about this, and I don't understand. Let's continue on, because I want to listen more to what she has to say about this.
Really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled, which, fuck off. Second, people just assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not an easy, it's not even less difficulty, it's more options. But third is the unique challenge with FromSoft games of completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversial, I know, but yes, if you use summons, you've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want. But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point of pride for people. And how do you avoid taking away that point of pride? That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's-a Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games that have that effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have catered to their own accessibility needs. Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like it's, like, I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with summons, you didn't finish the game. That you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally that. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the scatter tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have because we're all fucking different people. Right? Here's my pitch. Okay, gamers, hear me. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game? Are people going to reply to each other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, you use summons, you died, and beat summons, and beat the game. Yeah, people are going to be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of the extra accessibility-specific gatekeeping. Like all of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one.
Here's the thing. I'm not against customization options. I don't really think it's a problem. The problem is that people are not aware of those options. That's the problem. Like, I'm pretty sure you could get somebody to help you. Like, this organization does it. Like, we've been hearing about this for years. This organization was out there to help people invent ways to help disabled people play video games. Okay? This does exist. Like, the equipment's there, although it's not perfect, but it does help out these people that need these controls that are for disabled gamers. And here you are talking about this when you could have recommended those things, you know, for those that are disabled, and that could have helped the problem. But instead, you come up with this idea that we need to do this so we can help disabled gamers because it's too hard. The argument here I don't get because it's a little bit hard to understand. The thing is, like, I get that you feel that we are resenting this. We're not. I am not resenting this conversation. I'm trying to understand your argument. And call me stupid. You could call me stupid on this one. I'm just pointing out this to help you because you could recommend this organization because of the fact that they have tried to, you know, invent ways to help the community of people who are disabled, who can't move their arms, who lost their arms, who lost their legs, or they have like cerebral palsy, or they're quadriplegics. I apologize. And I get where this is coming from because of the fact that you're trying to explain something that is hard to explain.
asking for less or more
Let's
damage, but like
continue.
less button presses, or there's a large list of things that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know?
Yes, I get that. Yes. It does, like, there are ways to handle this. There is equipment that will help disabled gamers, but I guess it's not too much. It's too much to understand. Like, I guess that people can, like, I don't get the argument here. There is accessibility for controls, but I don't see the argument on what you're trying to say here. What is it that you're trying to say? That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out here, and I'll continue listening to what she has to say about this.
What if you get just a screen at the end with the credits that shows exactly how you played it or what options you had on or off? In my head, this would alleviate a lot of that discourse. People are saying, like, no accessibility whatsoever because I want to be able to play Elden Ring the exact way that I want to be able to play it. And I feel like those people are shooting themselves in the foot, because what if they get one of those temporary, situational, or short-term disabilities? You break your wrist and you're not going to be able to play Elden Ring. You have a kid, suddenly you can't
Okay. Let's continue. I'm just...
play Elden Ring. Like, I feel like they say it when they don't have disabilities, but in 10 years when you do have some kind of disability, I feel like you're going to retroactively kind of regret that you were like, absolutely not. Don't change anything. I finished Tunic. That game rules and is very hard. And after I finished it, I beat the final boss that you don't even have.
Oh, boy. This is bad. It's bad enough that I had to deal with this stuff. I don't get why they do this. It's so funny.
Spoilers. She was so hard. She was so hard. It took me days. Tunic has an accessibility option in it that you can use to... It's basically God mode. I think you can prevent all damage. I beat the game without that and felt so accomplished and so proud of myself. And I don't care that mode is there, or that option is there to help other people who still want to experience the game without that. I think that's perfectly fine. But I would have liked just a little something at the end, even an achievement, to give me the credit for doing the hardest fights on what is effectively the hardest in-game possible difficulty, because I didn't have those accessibility options on. You know what I mean? That's my thought, basically. Elden Ring is already the most accessible FromSoft game. If you're complaining about Shadow of the Erdtree being too hard, you don't have to play it. You are definitely allowed to criticize them. And I also think you should explore more, because you will find another build or another means to make things easier. Like, I think you're being impatient is probably what's happening realistically. This is for people who obviously don't have accessibility problems. But what if, so that we could actually allow disabled players to play these games, which is a thing I care about.
Allow disabled players
to just get a screen.
I just pointed it out. I just pointed out that the accessibility problem has been solved. Even though, yes, it's not perfect, they do offer accessibility for players that are disabled that want to play this game. This is something that you were advocating for. I'm pretty sure everyone does, but at the same time, I get it, the difficulty of doing this. But I just demonstrated that a disabled quadriplegic beat this game. He beat Elden Ring, and it's sad that you had to point this out. It's like, Alanah, you should know better. You're a game journalist. You heard about this story. Like, a quadriplegic beat this game with the help of technology that's been already invented for this. And he accomplished it. I don't know. I'm done. I'm out of here. You guys take care. I'm out. This is